Biden has amazed me.
Well, I'm back, my friends. This is Macil Duncan. I'm your host here on the Macil Duncan Radio Show, live from Chattanooga, Tennessee on 96.9 FM, Destiny Media Radio. We're also live on StreetLevelAmerica.com and USA Heartbeat. That's got me now coast to coast on multiple states. We're in Mexico and Canada, and we appreciate all that like and share the show. Pastor Salute got some Pakistan followers. And got some folks over in some other parts of the world that sent me messages this week. I was on vacation. I hope you enjoyed the replays. I appreciate USA Heartbeat Radio for doing that. So those of you that listen to the radio station, they still played some replays, and I hope you enjoyed some of those. Lots going on. When you go away on vacation and you find out Donald Trump gets convicted, Anthony Fauci is rebuked in Congress, and Hunter Biden has a jury pool forming. It's rather crazy in the country today. And so we'll talk about some of these hot issues, as well as there's a mother that's being put on trial, a mother of children, about 5 children, I believe it is. And she calls herself a social warrior, if you will, by accident. All she did was speak up for freedom of speech in Wisconsin. She's a Moms for Liberty advocate. And she finds herself now being taken to court because she has freedom of speech. It's going to be very interesting how some of this stuff lines up. Another thing in the news is Caitlin Clark, the WNBA standout, has been getting lots of hard fouls from different players. Some are saying it's an initiation, but the owner of the Fever, the Indiana Fever, and the coach has been sending video tapes of these hard malicious fouls into the WNBA headquarters, and they've actually readdressed some of the fouls and called some flagrant. Interesting. I don't know if any fines have been submitted, but I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. I like what she stands for. She just loves to play ball. And I guess because the lip lock liberals don't like her, it makes me like her more. So way to go, Caitlin. Pastor salute to you. She right now still is setting records. She's broken Taurasi's records in the rookie year and Sue Bird's on many areas. So that's some good company to be in. To be targeted with the hard fouls, still break records. You're doing pretty good there, kiddo. So I hope she stays strong. Lots going on here. Let's see. Let's pick on some things here. I just don't know where some of the stuff to start. There's so much stuff going on. Mexico elects its first female president. I don't know if you wear this, but the first lady president, I guess you call it breaking the glass ceiling. Here's a little on that.
In a historic landslide victory, Claudia Sheinbaum has been elected the first female president of Mexico, as well as the first Jewish person to hold that position. Sheinbaum is a climate scientist and the former mayor of Mexico City. According to the latest data, she received between 58 and 60% of the votes, the highest vote percentage in Mexico's history. In a statement in Spanish on social media, Sheinbaum wrote, "For the first time in 200 years of the Republic, there will be a woman president, and she will be transformative."
Now, that's very interesting. This is a first. A leftist climate scientist and COVID pandemic hardliner. This is what's interesting, especially with Fauci being on trial and some things coming out about Ouchie Fauci we'll talk about. But the leftist climate scientist and COVID pandemic hardliner, former Mexico City Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum, elected first woman president of Mexico. Now, I don't know where you stand on some of the things. I think a lot of folks, when you hear hardliner on COVID, I don't think that sits well globally because so much has come out. For instance, one of the things Fauci had to admit in the trials that he's facing with Congress is that the 6-foot distancing had absolute no scientific backing. It was just something they dreamed up in one of their meetings. Savvy? I told you, folks. I told you they were looking to intimidate you and I by pointing a gun-like object at your forehead to check your temperature and have you stand 6 foot apart. It was nothing more than intimidation and a crowd control method ways of being. This lady, the new president of Mexico, probably would be in line with this. Running contrary to the worldwide trends towards conservatism in 2024, Mexico has elected a dedicated leftist to continue the dubious legacy of current President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. While the fact that Claudia will be Mexico's first woman leader in the nation in more than 200 years of independence, it does provide with some novelty factor. The truth is that she will mainly mean same old, same old. The 61-year-old climate scientist and former Mexico City mayor ran a campaign that capitalized on her predecessor's popularity. So you got a lady, the first lady in Mexico history, and but the thing is, she's very left-leaning. Now, this is going to be interesting as you've got the presidential election here in America wrapping up in the next, 5 months? If you count early voting, we're in June, July, August, September, October. Folks will start throwing the old ballots down. Now, quickly, I will advise, do not early vote. I am a big believer that's how they steal elections. They want to know how many folks to fix the election. Please, if you can, on November 5th, take the day off, go meet your neighbors, vote in person, make it a prayer day, a holiday, what have you. But if you can all possibly vote in person, let's blow this place up with a turnout they cannot even imagine. Even if you vote Democrat, Libertarian, Scooby-Doo Party, please, everyone vote. We need every American to vote, and I think it can make an impact. So that's what happened in Mexico, and they saw a big change. This is rather interesting. CBS News reported Sheinbaum will also be the first Jewish person to lead the mostly Catholic country. I think with the Jewish turmoil, if you want to call it globally, and the sympathies towards Palestine and some of the, especially here in America, I think this is another added surprise. Not that she's just a leftist, not that she's just a globalist, not that she's also a COVID hardliner, but she's Jewish. Not that that should matter, but just in the climate of today, it's just interesting. CBS News said, I will become the first woman president of Mexico. This was her quote. She said with a smile, speaking at a downtown hotel shortly after electoral authorities announced a statistical sample showed that she held an irreversible lead. I don't make it alone. We all made it. With our heroines who gave us our homeland and our mothers and our daughters and our granddaughters. Now, she didn't mention anything about fathers. I picked up on that. She said our homeland with our mothers, our daughters, and our granddaughters. So I would also assume she's probably a big freaking feminist. So, now if you're a feminist, listen to me, you probably know I lean to the right. I have no apologies there. But she also appears to treat the citizens as stupid by saying that Mexico demonstrated that it is a democratic country with peaceful elections. That's an absurd comment since at least 38 candidates were killed in Mexico's election cycle in the past year. I was not aware of that. Were you? 38 candidates were killed in Mexico election cycle this past year. So running for office anymore seems to be rather dangerous. Here in America, you just might get thrown in jail. Huh? So it looks like the left want power at all cost. And that seems to be the situation. Now, the Daily Wire reports Claudia elected president of Mexico, and they just pretty much sugarcoat the same stuff that that her party and her rise to power, if you want to call it, she won by 58.6% of the votes, with 73% of the ballots counted. Mexico election agencies reporting, and so they said that's an irreversible lead. She might climb into the 60% approval before all the ballots are counted. That is a pretty big landslide. But when you're killing off all your other candidates, I'm not sure all that were presidential. That was just an interesting factor, Ruber. So candidate Exobit Galvez garnered 28.4% of the vote and conceded defeat, while George Alves Manez from the center-left center movement won 10.6% of the vote. And Galvez warned, "I want to stress that my recognition of Claudia's victory comes with a firm demand for results and solution to the country's serious problems." And so he was kind of given one of those concession speeches with a little bit of kick. So anyway, and Mexico has a new leader, and it's going to be interesting to see how that person gets along with the President of America, whoever that may be. We'll find out November 5th. And you've got to ask yourself, with the current circumstances, do you think minds have been changed? All the polling that I've seen today, and Frank Luntz, which is a left-leaning liberal, says that they believe that the election could hinge on the independent vote. Far right and Republican-leaning folks have said, guilty or not, they're sticking with Trump. The left are now calling him a convicted felon. They're having fun with the labels, and yeah, to be honest, Trump's kind of earned that. He likes calling everybody else names, so he's going to have to suck it up and take some of his own medicine. And I think he's a big boy, and he'll do that. But he always comes up with a zinger, so don't count him out yet. I think what's going to be interesting is when they have the debates, and that's coming up here in June, this first debate. And then the interesting thing is his sentencing is July 11th. 4 days before the Republican convention. Many folks wonder, will the judge put Donald Trump in jail or house arrest, forcing him to miss the GOP convention and therefore have to do things by video? Now, before you think it couldn't happen, I reported to you before I went out of town this past week that the Secret Service has been meeting with Rikers Prison on the potential, if he's put in prison, that Secret Service, how they would handle protecting the president. You know, that's going to be an interesting thing. If Donald Trump spends time in a jail cell, will he get some kind of special treatment? Will he be in a protected area? How many Secret Service will it take? I think we all know the prisons in New York, I don't have a lot of faith there. When you know, the guy from Epstein Island, Jeffrey Epstein, was there. He hung himself on a 4-foot bunk. The cameras accidentally were turned off, and all the guards were asleep. So that's not very reassuring. If I was Donald Trump, I would think you would definitely want to make sure Secret Service has some kind of involvement in your protection. Well, my book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith, is still on sale at Amazon Books and also Books A Million. If you want to go Barnes & Nobles, wherever you get your online literature, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith that Overcomes. I appreciate it if you would consider checking that out. When we come back, we'll talk some about this election situation and and it's going to be very interesting. Also, I've got a clip to play about Marjorie Taylor Greene going after Anthony the Fauci, which I call Ouchie Fauci because he loves to ouch us with his shots. So we'll see what happens when we come back. This is Macil Duncan with the Macil Duncan Radio Show, live from Chattanooga.
Hi, this is Renee for The Republic. StarSpangled.com, a mission to awaken souls and help save America, headquartered in the South. I recommend the Macil Duncan Radio Show because, as a former news journalist, I know how important it is to find credible sources in today's world gone mad. Join Macil Duncan on his show and me on social media such as Facebook at Star Spangled Chick to find out why loving and protecting America has never been more vital in the history of the USA.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Well, unless you're hiding under a rock, you must know that Donald Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts in the New York, you want to call it a courtroom. It was definitely a love fest for the lip-lock liberals. They enjoyed every minute, and the judge was smiling. Joe Biden was smiling. You got a little bit of a party going on. And they're having a blast putting Donald Trump in a situation that's costing him a lot of money, costing him a lot of time, and it's causing him to have to focus on defending his character and himself other than attacking Biden's character. Do you see the timing, my friends? They could have brought this against Donald Trump the past 3.5 years. Why now? You got to ask yourself. It definitely is political driven. You'll not convince me otherwise. I think a lot of folks are seeing that, and that's why you're seeing such a huge turnback. Dennis Quaid, I watched him on an interview this morning. The actor, he boldly came out and said, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. I know I'll get blowback, but I don't care. And he said a few other things I can't repeat on the air because this is a Christian station. It wasn't filthy bad, but it was just enough of a swearing. But the American people seem to be backing Donald Trump in the midst of this. Trump has raised now $200+ million since the verdict. In the first 24 hours, he raised $58 million, and it's the highest amount raised by a candidate in that short a time. He also is now getting the highest donations of what you want to call first-time donors. So former President Donald Trump has raised more than $200 million since the Manhattan jury returned the guilty verdict against him in court last week. The revelation was made by one of the president's son, Eric Trump, whose wife is the Republican National Committee co-chair, Laura Trump. Eric Trump was asked by Fox News host Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures about how much money the former president has raised since last Thursday's verdict. This might be a little inside information, but as I was leaving my house about 37 seconds ago, this of course was Sunday, I asked my wife, what are we up to now? And he said, as I was leaving, Laura, just in terms of the small dollars, were well over $70 million. This is with $21 donations or lower. They got $70 million from people making $21 donations and lower. Now, you got to ask yourself, that's got to be the common people. That would be people like me. I can't write big checks. I don't have the corporate funding backing. And that's the interesting thing here, that Donald Trump is still appealing to the blue collar, the average everyday American. In 2016, they were amazed at how Donald Trump turned out 33% folks that had never voted in a presidential election. He has an appeal, if you will, to the American citizen that feels like no one listens or cares about their plight. This has now raised the ante, if you will, for him to be considered more, if you want to call the word, likable. Now, CBS News did a report and said that 57% of people they polled felt that he was guilty and deserved to be found guilty. And yet, his approval rating still has him ranked above Joe Biden in all the battleground states as of, this weekend. Nothing's changed. They said it takes about 2 weeks for stuff like this to settle and then to do some research. So we could see Donald Trump could lose some ground. We'll find out. But I have a feeling the debate in June will be a huge factor. And you got to ask yourself, can Joe Biden stand toe-to-toe with Donald Trump? And how long can he stand toe-to-toe? The word is that he gets some super-duper shot in the derriere before he gets big speeches like the State of the Union and stuff, because the last State of the Union, he looked like he had 3 Red Bulls before he went out there. He was jacked up, pumped. Joe Biden, that is. You're not used to seeing Joe Biden that energized. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pulls off. The thing I know, Donald Trump said anytime, anywhere, but my goodness, CNN, oh my gosh, that's going to be such a loaded thing. I still wish there's a way to let Tucker Carlson mediate a debate, because I think Tucker Carlson would be fair. And he's one of the most popular voices. Now, I think Joe Rogan would be interesting, but Joe Rogan's a little bit he drops the F-bomb an awful lot. I don't know if he can control that because, there'll be various ages listening. But I would love to see a Tucker Carlson be a part of a panel. That's just me. But anyway, with this all happening, the Republicans have vowed they're going to stick with Trump, and they think there's going to be some retaliation over the Trump verdict. This is CBN News. See what you think.
Some House Republicans have vowed to retaliate for the guilty verdict against former President Trump, saying they'll use everything in their arsenal. House Speaker Mike Johnson said the Republican majority would use its oversight powers against what it called corrupt prosecutors, but said Republicans must remain within the rule of law.
We are the rule of law party. Chaos is not a conservative value, and we have to fight back, and we will, with everything in our arsenal. But we do that within the confines of the rule of law.
The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, has asked Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg and prosecutor Matthew Coangelo to testify over Donald Trump's prosecution. Trump is now suggesting the Supreme Court weigh in on his felony conviction.
And I say it, and it sounds beautiful, right? My revenge will be success. And I mean that. But it's awfully hard when you see what they've done. These people are so evil.
With that said, I got to ask you to be honest. Be honest. Don't say it. It's just, you don't have to say it out loud because no one's going to hear you, but, you hear me. If you were Donald Trump and you win, are you going to load up the DOJ and go after them? I tell you what I would do. I would get Ken Paxton from Texas and make him the Attorney General. And I would say, Ken, leave no stone unturned. And go find the corruption, good or bad, either party. And let's clean up Dodge. Here's the thing you got to remember about Donald Trump's situation. He's only got really 2 years. Because if he gets in, I know he's got 4 years, but the first 2 years, I personally believe that things can keep going. I believe there'll be a red wave. I believe he'll get the Senate and the Congress. But usually in midterm elections, it happened to Barack Obama, it happened to Clinton, it happened to Bush. He'll lose either the House or the Senate. Okay? So he's got 2 years. And in that 2 years, he needs to make the most of it. And the three things he's going to really work on, he's going to drill, baby, drill. He is going to the border wall and border security, and he's promised the biggest deportation of all time. And the other thing is the military. He's going to have to deal with the military. Now, these three things will impact the economy. So that's the big thing. I think people would really want to see if Donald Trump can get back into office. And I don't know if you would agree with me, but he said day one we will see action at the border, and we'll see the largest deportation in history. That's going to be interesting to see how he pulls that off, because you have so many gotaways. There's a lot of undocumented people here in the country, and I'll play some clips for you. There's also organized gangs and groups. There's one, and I'll play the clip for you in a little bit too, how they've been going through neighborhoods, and they case you online. They go in and they steal, and they had the getaway, the whole 9 yards, very well planned. And it's a global gang, and they're really racking up here in America right now with the open border. We also have a sheriff that switched sides and said, "Hey, he's from California." And he says, thanks to Gavin Newsom and Biden, he goes, "I'm voting Trump." He goes, "I've always leaned to the Democrats in my voting, but I am voting for Trump." So that's unusual, in my opinion, to hear of to me, most law officers, I thought pretty much leaned Republican and conservative, because it's usually Republicans that help fund them. It's always the Democrats that always want to raise your taxes. And when taxes are raised, you've got to cut funding. And usually one of the first things the mayor cuts is law enforcement. So we'll see what happens. I'll come back after the break. This is Macil Duncan live in Chattanooga, and this is the Macil Duncan Radio Show.
I'm from Texas, and I love listening to your show because y'all tell truth on there. You don't water it down, and I know what I listen to is real. And so, yes, just want to say that I'm glad that you're doing the show, and I'm friends with Jolene, and I do love America. I really do. Keep going. Gung-ho, guys, with the show. We got your back.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Madonna's sexually explicit tour performance in Los Angeles has landed her in a legal battle with a fan who is suing for what he calls being exposed to pornography without warning after watching what he says were topless women on stage simulating sex acts. He also raises another concern in his lawsuit, alleging the singer purposely refused to allow AC in the stadium, which is not the first time fans have complained of Madonna not wanting AC ran during her shows. The singer has a reputation for being outspoken about sexuality. That was made apparent in her style of performance during her latest tour. Some fans loved it and some did not. A fan who attended the March 7th show in Los Angeles said he was blindsided and deceived and says he felt like he was watching a pornography film being made. Madonna has not responded to the lawsuit. Give us a like and a follow for more news updates like this. Madonna is sexually...
So Madonna, is that a big shockaroo to anybody that she is being accused of being perverted and pornographic? I doubt that you would be shocked by that. Katy Perry has come out. She rewrote the punter from the Chiefs' conservative speech and made it more gay sounding. And I guess she's reflecting on her song, I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It. But for Gay Pride Month, Katy Perry has come out in favor of homosexuality and making statements and twisting words. I'm not too surprised. California sheriff changing teams, going all in on Trump. And I mentioned that to you before. I'll play his little segment. It's rather interesting to have a California sheriff say, I'm going all in for Trump. And this is Sheriff Chad Bianco, has spent a lifetime working in law enforcement and likely never expected that he'd be rallying behind a felon in a presidential election. That's the Gateway Pundit teaser, so we'll come back to that. Well, Dr. Anthony the Fauci is right now being grilled, if you will, in Congress. Fauci was heckled entering the U.S. Capitol this morning, and this is one of the statements that was said to him. Are you sad you are the number 3 spot in murdering people behind Stalin and Hitler? They're saying that he has now the 3rd largest kill of population behind Stalin and Hitler. How many people do you think you murdered? And they chanted that as he walked through security. Dr. Tony Ouchie the Fauci, arguably one of the greatest monsters and killers in global history, will testify today, Monday, before the House Oversight Committee. On Monday, Dr. Fauci was met at the door entering the U.S. Capitol by conservative journalists, lawyers, activists, and Ivan Rankin is one who peppered him with questions on a disgusting record of lies as he walked by. Sir, how many people do you think you murdered based on your policies, along with Mike Pence at the White House Coronavirus Task Force? So how much did Mike Pence know about your involvement in taking not only millions of dollars according to the documentation, but also you subsequently funding the Wuhan Institute for Virology that ended up destroying Americans' economy, as well as destroying millions of people, whether it was through the virus, the DNA mutilation, injections, etc., blah, 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 that were never approved by the FDA. And that's the interesting thing. Here is supposedly Dr. Fauci, who is supposed to be he was the highest paid federal employee at the time. He was allowed to push medicines, if you want to call them. They called it the jab. You remember Hollywood called it the jab. John Legend and all the lip lock liberals came out to try to sell the product, and but they wouldn't call it a vaccination because it had not passed the Federal Drug Association. But do you know who was in charge of expediting when emergencies? There's a nurse that has the ability to expedite if there is a crisis to allow medicines to move faster through the chain. That nurse happens to be Dr. Fauci's wife. Interesting. So you've got the Ouchie Fauci family right now being criticized greatly. Now, Dr. Tony Fauci testified 10 a.m. in the House Select Committee about the coronavirus pandemic and about several lies that he told and mistruths. One being that the 6 foot apart was not scientifically based. The standing 6 foot apart had no scientific reason to it. It was just something that came up in their think tank meeting, and they did it, and he admitted it was to control the population and to keep folks, I guess, mentally in line. So the House Select Committee were hearing testimonies, and this guy was pretty much grilled, and pretty much grilled heavily, by one of the most probably aggressive conservative voices in D.C., Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she says you belong in prison. Here is the Congresswoman.
This was a time in history where you got to throw out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals baseball game, while Americans were forced to stay home and watch such events that they love from at home alone on their televisions. And what a hypocrisy this picture shows. Here you are without your mask, with empty seats everywhere. Remember the cardboard cutout fans? That was one of the most insulting things to Americans, having to watch the games from home, where you got to go and enjoy the game and sit right next to people not following the 6 feet of distancing, not wearing your mask, and everyone else was forced to stay home and stop enjoying life. And your science here, your science is displayed perfectly in this picture, where children in school were put in plastic bubbles because of your science. Put in plastic bubbles. Children in school were put in plastic bubbles. Children in school were put in plastic bubbles because of your science, your repulsive, evil science. And let's go back to your very own email. You said earlier you don't use email. Oh, you do. Right here. This is your own email where you said the typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective. You buy in the drugstore, where you said the typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out virus. I do not recommend that you wear a mask. This is your email. This is your own words. But yet children all over America were forced to wear masks. Healthy children forced to wear masks, muzzled in their schools. And then they were forced to learn from home because of your so-called science and your medical suggestions, while you and all your cronies get paid from Big Pharma. You know that what this committee should be doing? We should be recommending you to be prosecuted. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity.
That was Marjorie Taylor the Green. Now, one of my listeners in California, you may remember Harmony called in and interviewed her a couple of times, but she had twins in a California school. Those of us here in Tennessee, you thought you had some lick-lock liberal teachers. They were not allowed in the building. You dropped your children off, and they escorted children in and out of the building. If you had an emergency, you could go and ring the bell and wait outside. If it was raining, they would allow you to step in. You are not allowed to go into the classroom. Parents are not allowed to review literature. Parents are not allowed to communicate with the teacher. And I said, I would get my kids out of that school so fast their head would spin. The other thing that she shared, a true story, was her and other parents were sick and tired of the mask mandates. COVID had pretty much been over. The fear factor had played out. So they were telling their kids they didn't have to wear masks. So this one teacher took her two twins and put their desk out on the playground and left them unsupervised for the whole day and had their lunch brought to them. He punished and humiliated them because they wouldn't wear the mask. I want to know why that school was not sued, why that teacher was not fired. That's unacceptable behavior. Something we must remind public educators. They're not your kids. Savvy? You're just a hired person that's supposed to educate the children on how to read, do arithmetic, how to do basic fundamentals. You're not supposed to educate children on your sexual preferences and on your political doctrine and your mantras. You're not supposed to teach the kids other pledges of allegiance to other countries and ignore your own. Make me president for a day. I could do some executive orders. And one thing I would do is I would shut down the teachers' unions across this country. They're nothing but cancerous to the minds of the teachers that control the minds of the children. There's some good Christian teachers that agree with me, but sadly they're afraid to come on the show because they're afraid of the blowback. Christian, pray with me because God has a way of exposing things. I hope that the teachers union will have a day one day because what they've done and the things they've supported have been very, to me, crippling to the children. We have had the highest rate of depression, the highest rates of suicide, all this during the COVID time. And we're finding out now through this trial of Anthony Fauci that the masks were not needed, the 6-foot distancing was not medically approved, it was just a guessing game, and that the infection injections were not even approved by the FDA. We knew that. I'll be back after the break.
Hi, this is Kat from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I just wanted to say how much I love your show. I love the topics that you cover and all the special guests that you have come online. It keeps things really fun and interesting. Thank you.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Lauren Taylor.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.3333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hello, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and welcome back to the show, broadcasted live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, on the USA Heartbeat Radio Network and Street Level America, taking me now into over 32 states and Mexico and Canada. We appreciate the way they have just exploded the show, and our audience has grown. I've had some correspondence with folks from Pakistan and some other countries that are listening to the show, and they're amazed that there's a pastor that will speak out on the issues of the day. And I said, well, that's kind of like a hobby, if you will. But I also believe there's some other duties as Christians. I shared this past Sunday, if you want to go check out the sermon on our website. But in Deuteronomy chapter 28, God tells us there's 54 curses that he promised on Israel or a nation that stood against Israel. But he promises 14 blessings on the persons or the country that obeyed his laws. So you might want to go read Deuteronomy 28, 68 verses. It's powerful, but it talks about 54 curses, and as I went through, I think I've identified 21 that apply to America currently. And so there is a time, and a lot of folks said, well, I can't believe God would ever let America fall. That's what the Jews thought, and he let the Babylonians overcome them because they had gotten to where they were not obeying his laws. It also tells a sad story in Joshua. It said a generation grew up who did not know the Lord. Now, that's sad to think that all that they went through, it was 70 that went into captivity, if you want to, into Egypt, and then they ended up getting 400 years and eventually being put in captivity and into slavery. And then when God sent Moses to help lead them out, and do you remember let my people go? The 10 plagues, the wall of fire, the parting of the Red Sea, the 10 Commandments, a powerful, powerful story, and makes for a great movie. Charlton Heston, you've probably watched it. I think a lot of folks don't realize how many times the children of Israel showed their dissatisfaction. On multiple times they complained and said, hey, shouldn't we just go back to Egypt? I think sometimes Christians, we can become complacent. And we think, hey, let's just go back to the way things were. We don't want to fight forward for the things God has. See, God had promised them a promised land. But they didn't want to follow and obey just to get through the desert. They got to a point, even Moses, disobeyed God, to where he was not allowed to enter the promised land himself. So they had to spend all those 40 years and up, because remember when the spies went in to look over at the land, they had, I guess, a Baptist business meeting. They voted God out. They said, no, we can't do it, dude. We can't do it. They're too big. That's when God said, well, I'll tell you what, for 40 years, and all those above the age of 40, you will all die. And the kids, or folks 40 and below, except for Joshua and Caleb, will be allowed to go in and go into the promised land. You guys remember the story? I'm kind of zipping through it quickly. But here's the kicker. You remember when they went to Jericho and they marched around the wall 7 times and the wall fell? It said the leaders of Jericho had heard about the power of God releasing them from Egypt. And even though they had wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, atheistic, if you want to call it, unbelievers or not followers of Yahweh were fearful of the power of God. Even though those folks were laying dormant for 40 years, when they finally came to Jericho and were marching around, all they had to do is have archers and pick them off. If you think about it, that was terrible strategy. I mean, to march around a city, and then on the 7th day, they marched around it 7 times blowing trumpets, and God came in and the wall fell down. You got to see, it did not make sense. And sometimes God will call us to do things or go places that doesn't make sense. Savvy? But if we are obedient, and in Deuteronomy 28, you should read it, 68 verses. See if any of those 54 curses do you feel are on America or on your family. But there's 14 blessings you can claim just by obeying God and his word. Just a little word for you. Just thought I'd share that. what do you think about the borders here in America? A lot of folks are a little put out with the border situation. I think a lot of folks feel Mayorkas and Biden and et cetera have had nothing but just this wide open policy. Let me play for you a news clip. This is a local news station, and I'm trying to see which. It's in Middle Tennessee, here in Tennessee, and it talks about a world global gang. And I'm just going to play the middle part here, where it talks about how this gang is now focused here in Middle Tennessee. My listeners here in Chattanooga, Nashville, Knoxville, pay attention. This is you.
According to police, the men are part of an international crime syndicate known as the South American Theft Group. Known as the South American Theft Group. South American Theft Group. South American Theft Group.
They'll get a visa. They'll come to New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Phoenix has a ton of it. Miami has a ton of it. And they'll come up to Atlanta.
These highly organized criminals come to the United States, then working in small cells, scout out locations and victims, and then strike quickly. How sad were these victims?
It's a huge monetary loss for them. And they also have lost jewelry, handed down from generations along with the money. They're absolutely well organized. They do their intelligence before they come to whatever community across the U.S. that they're going to know who they're going to hit. They know when they need to hit and what they're exactly going after.
And in this case, police believe the men were driving a Honda Odyssey minivan. It was gold in color. If you have any information, you're urged to contact the Nolensville police.
So here in Tennessee, they have spotted that. So the border is going to be an issue. And this is what's interesting, how the left lies and try to act like, oh, we're not for open borders. But listen carefully and to Kamala Harris, Biden, Schumer, and the leaders of the Democratic Party. Oh, yes, they are.
In a CBS News exclusive, our immigration and politics reporter, Camila Montoya Galvez, spoke to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who responded to the accusations of the administration encouraging migrants to come to the U.S.
That is false.
You sure about that?
The strength of our nation is supposed to be that we have strong arms.
This is Kamala Harris, our vice president,
which will embrace and protect anyone fleeing or facing harm.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people.
Joe Biden, did you catch that? That we immediately surge to the border. This is Joe Biden in 2019.
Make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
We're short of workers.
This is Schumer.
We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here. And we will be pursuing that in the next Senate.
That is false.
You bad, horrible liar.
So when they said they do not propose for open borders, I think it's safe to say they lied. This is the sheriff that says he's switching parties.
Law enforcement, apparently, if you listen to our governor, is systemically racist. If you listen to our legislature, our laws are systemically racist. Our judicial system is systemically racist. All of these people that are being put in jail are because of law enforcement bias and DA bias and all of these things. And so they let them out. They give them food. They give them housing. They give them money. They give them drugs and alcohol now. And I got to be honest, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. And I'm wondering if I'm having a change of heart and deciding that, you know what, maybe I've been wrong. And I think I'm going to change teams. I know it's going to make some of you angry. I know that you're going to be mad at me, but I'm going to change teams. I think they're onto something, but I don't think they're doing enough. I think that we need to go big. You know me, go big or go home. You're the biggest, you do the best, you're the best at everything, and you might as well do something right if you're going to do it. And I'm all in. And I hope that you're all with me. I hope that you all have this change of heart. You all feel that this is definitely the right thing to do, and you come alongside me in this venture. And I think it's time that instead of letting them out of jail and giving them alcohol and drugs and everything else, I think it's time we put a felon in the White House.
My name is
There's a
Deborah
trend on
Reynolds. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I just wanted to let you know that I feel it's important to have the Macil Duncan radio show. I listen to him and support him completely because he tells the truth that we don't hear on mainstream media concerning local, state, national, world happenings. He talks about our nation that was formed as one nation under God with the inclusion of individuals' God-given rights. He speaks about God, our creator. He talks about our Constitution guarantees those rights, and the people need to get involved in their freedom, liberty, and regaining and retaining and protecting their constitutional rights. So I believe everyone should hear his show. They should get involved, whether it's physical, it's prayer, whatever. They need to get involved and pay attention to what's going on, and he's putting that word out there. He's a true Christian patriot, and I wish all Americans could hear his show. Thank you. My phone number is 423-305-5944.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Days after being found guilty in his criminal trial in New York, former President Donald Trump spent the weekend making his first public appearance since the verdict, starting his own TikTok account, and sitting down for an interview with Fox News. Trump stopping by the Ultimate Fighting Championship event in Newark, New Jersey on Saturday night, as thousands in attendance at the Prudential Center cheered on the former president. Trump taking that moment to launch his new TikTok account, amassing over 3 million followers as of this morning. His UFC video has more than 60 million views since it was posted. While as president, Trump sought for the U.S. to ban TikTok, he has since changed his mind. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden signed a bill in April that could see TikTok being banned in the country, though his campaign launched an account earlier this year. Trump also sat down for an interview with Fox News that aired on Sunday. When asked about the possibility of facing jail time or house arrest, Trump replied he is okay with it, but says he is not sure the public would stand for it. In the interview, Trump was asked about his political rivals in the wake of the verdict.
And I say it and it sounds beautiful, right? You know, my revenge will be success. And I mean that. But it's awfully hard when you see what they've done. These people are so evil. And at the same time, the country can come together.
Trump's sentencing is set for July 11th.
And that's 4 days before the GOP convention. And that's awful interesting timing by the judge. As you guys know, he and his daughter are Biden supporters, and they lean very left. And so a lot of folks have got a concern that possibly this trial was not fair. Of course, President Biden has said it's fair and he should not be whining about that. But there's a lot of folks that have difference of opinion, and that's understandable. You know, you're going to have your opinions. But this is a famous statement that Donald Trump made on the campaign trail back in 2020. Let's see if we got this.
You still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. That's what happened. We need help. Right? Yeah, we need help. It's all right to say it. Now, they'll criticize me for that. How dare he say that? How dare he say that? No, I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll say it. Somebody said to me the other day, you're the most famous person in the world by far. I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. They said, yes, you are. I said, no. They said, who's more famous? I said, Jesus Christ. They said, who's more famous? I said, Jesus Christ. They said, who's more famous? I said, Jesus Christ.
And he calls him the boss, Jesus Christ, and we need help from the boss. Well, I guess he kind of does now because he has a situation where he is now been put, found, convicted, if you will. And there's a lot of folks upset about this. I'll recap it in case you have been under a rock and don't know what happened. Here is the latest. A verdict has been reached in Trump's New York trial. Trump, guilty. Trump found guilty on all 34 counts in hush money trial. Historic for a former U.S. president.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace.
Trump to be sentenced on July 11th.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here.
Will Trump go to jail? That's a good question.
They just elected Donald Trump president, so politically I think it's good. I think, unfortunately, they've made a travesty, a mockery of our criminal justice system.
I spit in this man's face.
So that's the problem. The justice system seems to have
former Illinois
governor. Now, this is former Illinois governor explaining how he understands what Trump's going through, because they put him through the same thing. See what you think. This is Gorbachev, who was the governor of Illinois, and he went to jail, and he broke no law, according to him.
Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich joins me now. So you were pardoned by Donald Trump. You were also involved with some shenanigans that cost you your freedom. Looking back now, how do you see this case?
Well, I see this as deja vu all over again. I didn't break a single law, cross the line, or take a penny. They failed to convict me at a first trial, tried me a second time, used unlawful jury instructions to criminalize things that were legal. And they learned from that, and now they're doing it at the major league level, what they did to a Democrat governor at the AAA level, and doing it to the leading candidate of the opposition party, being done by the party in power, my party, the Democrat Party. And, you know, it's a very sad day for America on many levels. On a personal level, I'm grateful to President Trump for commuting my sentence. And my heart sinks when I think about what he has to go through, what his family has to go through. But my heart is broken for our country, because this is serious business. And these Democrats, my fellow Democrats who run the show now, are coordinating these prosecutions against Trump from the Democratic National Committee in Washington, D.C.
Did you hear that? He's saying my party, my Democrats, if you will, are coordinating this from Washington, D.C. Listen again. This is a guy that's been through the ringer.
Serious business. And these Democrats, my fellow Democrats who run the show now, are coordinating these prosecutions against Trump from the Democratic National Committee in Washington, D.C., with assistance from the White House and Biden. It's so obvious to me because I've lived it myself. In my case, these were Bush-appointed Republicans who did it to me. And now the Democrats are doing it to Trump. But what they're doing is they're destroying the rule of law, our Constitution, which will eventually lead to the loss of our freedom. And nothing is sacred with these people. Nothing is sacred. It's politics at all costs, and forget about the law, and forget about injustice, and forget about destroying somebody through prosecution, persecution, and the politics of personal destruction. It has now replaced the government of the people, for the people, and by the people, and the stakes are high, and I'm urging my fellow Democrats to fight for our country. Vote for Trump, DonaldJTrump.com, so we save our democracy, because if...
He's urging Democrats to vote for Donald Trump. Did you hear that?
People and by the people, and the stakes are high, and I'm urging my fellow Democrats to fight for our country, and I'm urging my fellow Democrats to fight for our country, and I'm urging my fellow Democrats to fight for our country. Vote for Trump, DonaldJTrump.com, so we save our democracy, because if Trump doesn't win, we're going to become Russia.
Wow. So that is a huge statement from a former Democrat, and he seems very serious on those statements. And now, there's more black sympathy for Donald Trump and judicial system that's against him. This is a lawyer that was on Sky News, and see what you think of his comments and how Trump is picking up the sympathies, if you will, of many folks across the country.
Yeah, and you mentioned, though, the political nature of this trial, and this stood out to me, and I want to get your reaction, because an awful lot of people are saying, and Alvin Bragg, the DA, has said, this isn't about politics, this is just about following the law. And yet they've set sentencing for July 11th, just a few days before Trump is to be confirmed officially as the Republican nominee at the Republican National Convention. Does that data point to you kind of give away the game that this is really about, well, what they're accusing Trump of, election interference?
Exactly. It is election interference. This seems like an expedited basis. Usually there's a significant amount of time between, especially on a novel case like this, without precedent. You think there would be a significant amount of time between conviction and sentencing. This is what the Biden administration is counting on. They're hoping against hope that this is going to have some sort of effect that Biden has been unable to achieve. He's below water in all of the polls, the economy, foreign policy, the direction of the country. People still blame him for inflation. They blame him for a lower quality of life. And yeah, it looks just like it's ongoing politics by this judge and by the other judges in cases against Trump.
And it does appear it's definitely coordinated. It's definitely strategic. It's right here prior to the election. They tried to get him off the ballots, and that didn't work. They tried to prop up Nikki Haley and DeSantis. That didn't work. They tried all kind of things to get Trump. They tried to put him in legal jeopardy, financial jeopardy. They've done everything they can. And Donald Trump has come out on top. And I think the interesting thing is his Truth Social. When he went public, he made over $3 million. He made $6 million, which doubled his wealth and the money that he lost while in office. God just seems to be on the guy, and you may not like me saying that, but it seems to. We'll come back after the break. This is the Macil Duncan Show in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This
West
is
Virginia's most
WVMG Chattanooga.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the
Here's what Mexico's newly elected president.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us.
I'm asking
forever.
for...
The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is Macil Duncan. I am back live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, on the USA Heartbeat Radio Network, Street Level America, Destiny Media, 96.9 FM. We're also on the Macil Duncan Radio Rumble account, X account. You can find us on Facebook, True Social. Lots of things, locals.com. So we appreciate all those that like and share the show. Tell your friends about the Macil Duncan Radio Show daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Well, breaking, Trump is calling on the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene after being convicted of a made-up crime in a kangaroo court, he says. President Donald Trump has called upon the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene following his conviction on all counts in the politically motivated hush money trial that concluded last week. The timing on the sentence hearing conveniently scheduled just days before his renomination for the presidency at the Republican National Convention adds another layer to an already thick fog of biased surroundings in this case. The sentencing was set for July the 11th. That's 3 days before the Republican National Convention. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. Now, the judge is getting a lot of pressure to put Donald Trump in jail. And as I shared with you, the Secret Service has met with Reichert's to come up with a plan. If Donald Trump is sentenced any time in prison, he will still need Secret Service protection. So I'm sure they're going to make sure the cameras are running, because you remember Jeffrey Epstein accidentally hung himself on a 4-foot bunk, which is still rather interesting how that happened. But anyway, the media, Blaze Media, globalists suffer big upset in Geneva. I don't know if you heard about this. I was excited to hear. The World Health Organization chief urges aggressive crackdown on global pandemic agreement and skeptics. What they've tried to have in place, and this UK has backed out and other key countries, but they want to make the World Health Organization to have Trump, if you will, card, pardon the phrase, but they would have the ability to override national rulings and laws, such as the American Constitution, our Bill of Rights. The World Health Organization would have global control if the next COVID or bird flu or Scooby-Doo flu came upon us. They could issue quarantines and mandates that we would have to obey, and even if it went against our laws. Now, the reason this is dangerous, they could bring in UN forces and take away your guns. They could. According to the way this is worded, any country that signs the agreement and yet their people refuse to obey could be subject to UN, United Nations forces invading that country or that region and forcing compliance. What say you, America? Now, the interesting thing is the state of Louisiana has risen up lately. It's been pretty amazing. The governor's about to sign a bill forcing, if you're on public school property, you have to use the bathroom of your biological birth origin. So if you were born a girl, you use the girls. If you're born a dude, you use the dudes. They've also put a new law in place that they would not adhere, even if Biden signs that. Louisiana says they will not follow foreign laws or foreign rules to supersede American Constitution or our Bill of Rights. And other states are looking to vote in the same type of law that Louisiana has voted in. So it's very interesting that Louisiana has decided to do this at this time. And I think it's put a lot of fire in the belly for conservatives to realize they can use the laws and legislation, when done correctly, for the advantage of the people. And I think that's what we're seeing here. So it's very interesting. But the global pandemic agreement has got a lot of kickback from various countries. But China, of course, is supporting it. And so that's enough said right there why we don't want to support that. So the Blaze Media put out this thing, because I said so. The Anthony Fauci hearing today was big fireworks between Marjorie Taylor Greene going after Fauci and calling him out for instance, when he would go to ball games and sit next to people without a mask on and not practicing the 6-foot distancing that he demanded everyone else. It also came out in the hearing that the 6-foot distancing had no scientific backing. It was just a recommendation their team came up with to force Americans to be more compliant when they're at grocery stores or public events, to be 6 foot apart. So putting children in those classrooms, in those bubbles, and wearing masks, that's now come out that had absolutely no effect on helping preventing them catching COVID. It was nothing but an intimidation factor. It caused a lot of panic, a lot of fear. And I want you to think, my friend, I loved my high school days. I went to Red Bank High School here in Chattanooga. And I liked going to my prom. I liked playing sports. What they did with this COVID pandemic and what these World Health Organizations have done, I want you to think of the children and the high school and the middle school kids. It ruined sporting, okay? Possibly even cost scholarships for higher education, okay? It cost them a lot of social events like dances and some group activities that they probably used to have. And they're still probably hesitant to have now, depending on if you're in a blue state or a blue city. So it's very interesting about this. And I think it's very sad. But Dr. Fauci, the Democrats continue painting Fauci as a blameless victim, whereas Republicans sought to dig closer to the truth. And I believe what Marjorie Taylor Greene, that I believe he ought to be tried for criminal charges. But because the committee chairman, Brad Winstrip from Ohio, told Fauci at the outset, whether intentionally or not, you became so powerful that any disagreement the public had with you were forbidden and censored on social media in the most legacy media time and time again. Does anyone remember being on Facebook and if you used the word ivermectin or any other meds, or if you talked bad about the infection injection, you were put either in Facebook jail or your posts were removed? You remember all that? There's obviously a trail with the medical community, the mainstream media, social media. They were all in on the effect of trying to convince you and I that we better comply or we're going to not have a happy life. That's why I didn't shut my church down. That's why I have a radio show. A lot of folks were amazed that we didn't shut down, not one day, not one second. Every Sunday, my church was open. The door was open. The book was open. The altar was open. We kept our food pantry open. At one time, we were the only food distributor in Chattanooga for nearly 3.5 months because everyone else shut down. But I just felt we could not. The Republican lawmaker attempted to hold Fauci's feet to the fire and largely failing to get results. What follows are 5 key takeaways from the Fauci hearing. 1, not so effective after all. When asked straight out about Winstrip, whether the vaccine stopped the transmission of virus, Fauci answered, that is a complicated issue because in the beginning, the first interaction of the vaccines did have an effect, not 100%, but not a high effect. They did prevent infection and subsequently, obviously, transmission. But that's still debatable. People are having a tough time believing him. Number 2, Fauci, the blameless victim. They have gone around making him look like poor Dr. Fauci. He did his best. But even Dr. Burke, the scarf lady, the other doctor that stood next to him, threw him under the bus and admitted they lied to Donald Trump, saying flatten the curve was a lie just to shut the country down. And she also said the virus came to America from China in a box. Fauci hangs Inner Circle out to dry. Oversight Committee Chairman noted that there's a troubling pattern of behavior in Fauci's Inner Circle, namely Fauci's David M. Morin's senior scientific advisor to the head of the group he was at, Fauci's former chief of staff, as two offenders. Comer pressed Fauci on whether Morin's violated NIH policy by using personal email for official purposes. Fauci appeared more than willing to throw his former advisor and frequent correspondent under the bus, indicating Morin's personal email used avoided transparency, blah, 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 basically making them look bad, trying to pass blame. Fauci denies funding gain-of-function research, and he lied, and he downplayed the likelihood of a lab leak, but we have Dr. Burke's testimony in her own book that it did leak from the Wuhan lab from China. So Fauci's a liar, but will he be held accountable? I don't know. This is the Macil Duncan Show, live from Chattanooga. I'll be back.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Well, this is Macil Duncan, and welcome back to the show, broadcasting live from Chattanooga. I found this article that says 14 controversial opinions Gen Z holds that angers older generations. Interesting enough here, I thought I'd just read a few of these and see if you would agree, because sometimes it is tough to communicate with the younger generation. One is 9 to 5 workday is outdated. The younger generation thinks that working 5 days a week is too much, and they don't like the 9 to 5 schedule. They say it's a relic, it's a past. And much to the dismay of baby boomers who have a prize structure of having this, and but they feel with technology and things, you should be able to work from home and have less work days for more money. Interesting. The other thing is, let's see, just we're going to read a few of these. Not that one. That's stupid. Education doesn't guarantee success. Increasingly, Gen Z questions the return on investment in traditional higher education, with students' debt soaring. Many wonder if the promise of a secure future post-college is just a myth. They champion alternative education paths like trade schools, online courses, or self-learning. Now, I've got to I tell you, I'm a big fan of the trade schools. I think this is something that Gen Z, if they're liking this, I think not everyone needs to go to college and get themselves in debt. I went to college and went on and got my master's degree. And so it took me right at 10 years, having kids along the way. I have friends I went to high school with that went and got a trade school. And within 2 years, they're knocking out a pretty decent salary. I, therefore, am in the ministry as a youth minister, making just above the janitor wages, if you will. And ministry doesn't pay well. You guys probably know that. I'm not poor talking. I'm just telling you the facts. But I've got friends, I'm 58. I've got friends that retired in the last 3 to 5 years, and they didn't go to college. And I think it's proving a point. I think Gen Z's onto something there. Climate change requires radical action. Gen Z is not shy about demanding significant changes to address climate change, often supporting extreme measures that older generations find impractical. Now, I just thought I would help educate the Gen Zers out there if you're listening to the show, or maybe you have a Gen Zer that you might want to pass this information on. This is on the Macil Duncan page. But the UN agenda for 2020 mission goals. One world government, end of nations. This is by 2030, excuse me. They want to have the end of individual nations. They want to have a one world army, a one world police force, end of family unit, a one world central bank, a one world cashless currency, end of all private property, world depopulation and fertility control. Now, if you want to watch a blast from the past, watch the movie Logan's Run. I think it's made in 78. Go watch it, and it matches up to the current day a mindset that they were putting in the minds of us back in the 70s. Interesting, is it not? Social media digital ID. In the future, for you to have a social media account, you'll have to have a digital ID, and it'll be hooked up to the cloud with also your medical records. So if you don't have all the shots, you just might lose your ability to communicate. Microchipped for health, shopping, and travel. Implementation of Chinese social credit system. Government-raised children. All businesses run by the state, etc. Lots of these things. Well, here is something I thought I would just bring up, some blast from the past. The lip-lock liberals that want their hair's always on fire because something is always about to go wrong. In 1966, oil will be gone in 10 years. 1966. The climate changers were telling us all the oil will be gone in 10 years. That was 1966. 1967. Dire family forecast by 1975. 1968, overpopulation will spread worldwide, and we won't be able to feed anybody in the next 10 years. That was 1968. 1970, world will use up all of its natural resources by the year 2000. You remember Y2K? That was kind of part of this little 1969 strategy. 1970, urban citizens will require gas masks by 1985. That's right. They said the climate change said the urban citizens will have to have gas masks because climate change, we won't have enough oxygen to breathe. Okay. Nitrogen buildup will make all land unsustainable. That's 1970. Also 1970, decaying pollution will kill all the fish. That's right. In 1970, all fish will be killed globally within 5 years. That was 1970. I just had some good shrimp and some good fish at the beach this last week on vacation. So somebody missed the boat on that one. 1970, killer bees. That's right. In 1970, killer bees will kill off half the population. 1970, I don't think that happened either. 1970, ice age by the year 2000. By the year 2000, we will have a recreated ice age. Didn't happen. 1970, America subject to water rationing because we will have dried up oceans, rivers, and creeks. That was 1970. 1971, new ice age coming by 2020 or 2030. Now that was 1971. They were mentioning by 2020 or 2030. Now, if you go to UN, they had an Agenda 2020 that has now been changed to Agenda 2030. So this has been a long-term plan of the lip lock liberals, my friends. 1972, new age by the year 2070. 1972, oil depleted in 20 years. 1974, space satellites show new ice age coming fast. In 1974, another ice age. 1974, ozone deception, a great peril to our life. 1976, scientific consensus that planet cooling and famines imminent. In 1977, Department of Energy says oil will peak in the 90s, and then we will be out of oil by the year 2000. 1978, no end in sight for a 20-year cooling trend. 1980, acid rain kills life, and we will all face a depopulation. 1980, peak oil in 2000. They keep repeating that. Regional droughts that never happened. Okay, 1988, temperature in D.C. will hit record highs. 1988, islands will be underwater. By 2018, all islands will cease to exist, like Hawaii, etc. That's not happened. 1989, New York City's West Side Highway underwater by 2019. Still hasn't happened. 1996, peak oil in 2020. The year 2000, children won't know what snow is. That's right, the year 2000. They said there'll be no more snow because they start shifting from the ice age to now we're burning up the planet. You notice the shift here? Okay, Inconvenient Truth by Ali the Gore, all lies. Go watch The Inconvenient Truth and watch everything he predicted. Never happened. And what party did Al Gore come from? Oh, the Democrats, that's right. Okay, skipping on down here. Britain will be Siberia by 2024. Manhattan will be underwater by 2015. Still didn't happen. This was in 2005. 2006, super hurricanes. 2008, Arctic will be ice-free. 2008, climate genius Al Gore predicts ice-free Arctic by 2013. And 2009, climate genius Prince Charles says we have 96 months to save the world. Prince Charles said that back in 2009. Oh, thank God, Prince Charles, you were so on top of that, weren't you, Mr. King now? 2009, UK Prime Minister says 50 days to save the planet from catastrophe. That's 2009. Also in 2009, climate genius Al Gore, his movie, predictions of ice-free never happened. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. 2014, only 500 days left before climate chaos and catastrophe. And anyway, most of these predictions came out right before presidential elections. Isn't that the interesting fact?
Hi, my name is Beverly Reynolds. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I just wanted to let you know that I feel it's important to have the Macil Duncan radio show. I listen to him and support him completely because he tells the truth that we don't hear on mainstream media concerning local, state, national, world happenings. He talks about our nation that was formed as one nation under God with the inclusion of individuals' God-given rights. He speaks about God, our creator. He talks about our Constitution that guarantees those rights. And the people need to get involved in their freedom, liberty, and regaining and retaining and protecting their constitutional rights. So I believe everyone should hear his show. They should get involved, whether it's physical, it's prayer, whatever. They need to get involved and pay attention to what's going on, and he's putting that word out there. He's a true Christian patriot, and I wish all Americans could hear his show. Thank you. My phone number is 423-305-5944.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
West Virginia's most prominent Democrat changed his registration to independent today. As Eyewitness News reporter Bob Aaron tells us, this move is making waves from Charleston to Washington.
It's no party for West Virginia Democrats with their Senator Joe Manchin registering as an independent in Charleston Friday. U.S. Senator Joe Manchin changed his registration to no party here at the Secretary of State's office. He says he has to be an independent to represent America's sensible majority. While he has frequently criticized toxic partisan politics, he gave no warning to many in the state party who saw the news release and social media post when the media did.
The American brand is the brand that I carry the proudest, and I will always do that. I'm able to do that more by being a registered, no-party affiliate independent than having a D or an R by my name.
Timing of the registration change could still allow Manchin to run for governor or the Senate as an independent, but caught off guard by the announcement, State Democratic Party chair said he did not expect that to happen.
Regardless of the political affiliation or non-affiliation of any politician, no matter how big or small, the West Virginia Democratic Party is going to continue to fight for the core values that we believe in. And
well, bottom line is, if they weren't paying attention, I remember personally that he said that Joe Manchin, that is, back about 8 months ago, he could not promise in 2024 he would be a Democrat. He said that on many occasions. Well, he has now said he's not running for re-election, but he's registering as an independent. There's something going on. Now, I'm going to throw out a few spiffballs here. These are Macil Duncan spiffballs. But possibly, just ask yourself this. What if he, Tulsi Gabbard, Robert Kennedy, and other well-known Democrats that have left the Democratic Party and have not become Republicans start trying to form a new party? Robert Kennedy has started the We the People Party. Now, the interesting thing about this, if you remember, there was a group called the Tea Party that was very right-leaning conservative. And they could not get enough to actually get a single party. But what they did is they dovetailed back into the Republican Party and are now the right wing, if you will, of the Republican Party. Kind of like a caucus within the Republican Party. Possibly. This is a Macil spiffball here. What if the moderate Democrats are going to unify and try to bring in, if they want to call it common sense, middle ground sanity, into the Democratic Party so that the progressive far left can't control everything? If you remember, Joe Manchin was the one Democrat on several occasions that gave Joe Biden a fit in his first year of office. And people are even asking which Joe is running the country. Joe Manchin has likability, and I could see him being something in the future. I'm just throwing it out there. This isn't by it's right before the presidential election. This is not by accident. So I think it's interesting. He's ditching the Democratic Party now, and it's very
Folks,
truth-telling.
just want to take a moment.
Hang on. It's Joe Biden's commercial there. I didn't see that coming. We're not going to play that for you, of course. But I'd like to play you this. This is Tulsi Gabbard, who left the Democratic Party. As you guys know, she was the congresswoman from Hawaii. And Gabbard reacts to Donald Trump's verdict. Listen to I would call her a liberal Democrat because she supported Bernie Sanders. Okay, Bernie leans far left. But when she saw that Bernie Sanders, she felt, had won the Democratic nomination in 2015, that he should have taken on Donald Trump, which I would have loved to have seen that. Hillary Clinton stole the nomination. That's what she felt. But anyway, here's Tulsi Gabbard. See what you think.
If you turn on the news right now, you're going to see almost nothing but people talking about what happened in that New York courtroom today with Donald Trump. I think it's important that we take a step back and really look at what are the very serious consequences that have come from this, that extend far beyond this specific case, these charges, this verdict, and even Donald Trump. What we are seeing here should be a wake-up call to every American, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless about how you feel about President Trump or President Biden. What has happened is President Biden has turned our country into a banana republic, a country where those in power are using the law, the rule of law, and our justice system and law enforcement to persecute their political opponents.
Now that's Tulsi Gabbard. So as I mentioned a minute ago, you've got Joe Manchin becoming independent. Tulsi Gabbard became an independent a little over a year ago. You have Kristen Sinema from Arizona, who became an independent last year as well and chose not to run for re-election like Joe Manchin. Interesting, because Sinema still had some popularity in Arizona. So Kristen Sinema, Democratic senator, moved to independent. Joe Manchin, Democratic senator, moved to independent. Tulsi Gabbard, Democratic congresswoman, moved to independent. And could there start to be a movement within? And I believe you could say Robert Kennedy is probably an independent within the Democratic Party. It's just something for you to be thinking about. I'm just spitballing, but I don't think it's by accident. These things are happening right now. I think it's for a reason, if you will. And listen to this, guys. We go to the break about not taking the folks of color's vote for granted.
Look, I think going to the Libertarian Convention was smart. According to Gallup, they represent 17-20% of the American electorate. Maybe you shave off 8% of them. That can make a difference in a very, very tight presidential race. Regardless of the reasons, going to the Bronx, it's important. No one should be presumptive to assume that people of color are going to just vote one way purely because they're black or because they're Hispanic. That seems to be the case.
Come on, man.
For my Democratic friends, and I think it's why a lot of people of color are looking at Joe Biden and they're realizing that my life is not better. When I go to the grocery store, things are expensive. The infrastructure in my surrounding community has not improved. And when I think about the future for my children, they're still in dilapidated schools where the educational system is deplorable. That's the Democratic message in my perspective. And so to have a Republican show up, whether he's being booed, jeered, whatever the case may be, he's showing up to places where Joe Biden is not, and I think that's going to make a difference.
That's a true statement, because you may not have heard this, but Trump did go to the Libertarian Convention, and he got mixed reviews. But if he can pull more of the independent votes, that's where because he's got a solid base in the Republican. Joe Biden has a solid support in the Democrats. It's that middle ground. It's that, if you want to call it, the growing independent vote. So again, I re-emphasize, you got Joe Biden declaring independent. You've already got Tulsi Gabbard and Kristen Sinema. The independent label is becoming kind of a marketable or a position that folks are saying, hey, I like that. There's a lot of people like myself, when I go to vote here in Hamilton County, they ask me if I'm a Democrat or Republican. I say I'm an American. And there's always someone that rolls their eyes at the voting. And they said, now, preacher, you know you have to pick. I said, I know, but I just want to voice my concern because if we had close primaries, when we came to vote on Election Day, we would have one ballot. You could be an American, and you wouldn't have these two party-controlled. That's what we have now. George Washington warned us in his farewell address, be wary of the if you want to call it, the slave owners of the party. And he said, and when you allow parties to control the politics, he referred to it much like a slave owner. It's interesting. You should read George Washington's farewell address. It used to be required reading in high school. I'll be back as we get ready to start hour number 3.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Da da.
Well, if my phone and the text messages I'm receiving are any indication, every Republican in the country is madder than a wet hen. I mean, people who are decidedly non-MAGA, not Trump fans, are blowing up tonight saying this case never should have been brought. This is ridiculous charges. It was egregious use of the criminal justice system. And
Yikes.
I mean, I'm hearing people say, I had no intention of voting for Donald Trump, and now I am. And then if you ask the Trump campaign what's happening, you know, they literally broke their online donation portal.
And it's happening. People across the country
when you have these
are
woke
saying,
revolutions.
hey, I am I am going to have a change of heart.
It requires.
There's a sheriff that said, "Hey, I think I'm going to have to change because of all that's happening in the country." And let's see if I can find that for you. This sheriff here, he is out in California, and he said that he has got a concern because he was evidently a Democrat, and he voted with Gavin Newsom, but he's got a concern. And here is the sheriff out in California saying he's switching teams. Very interesting.
Enforcement, apparently, if you listen to our governor, is systemically racist. If you listen to our legislature, our laws are systemically racist. Our judicial system is systemically racist. All of these people that are being put in jail are because of law enforcement bias and DA bias and all of these things. And so they let them out. They give them food. They give them housing. They give them money. They give them drugs and alcohol now. And I got to be honest, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. And I'm wondering if I'm having a change of heart and deciding that, you know what, maybe I've been wrong. And I think I'm going to change teams. I know it's going to make some of you angry. I know that you're going to be mad at me, but I'm going to change teams. I think they're onto something, but I don't think they're doing enough. I think that we need to go big. You know me, go big or go home. You're the biggest, you do the best, you're the best at everything, and you might as well do something right if you're going to do it. And I'm all in. And I hope that you're all with me. I hope that you all have this change of heart. You all feel that this is definitely the right thing to do, and you come alongside me in this venture. And I think it's time that instead of letting them out of jail and giving them alcohol and drugs and everything else, I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Trump 2024, baby.
That is the California sheriff announcing through his social media that he's changing teams, and he believes that there's a big need for people to wake up and support Donald Trump because he is big on the border. Now, there's the Democrats saying they never supported the border, but then we have these obvious quotes here from Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, and Mayorkas himself, all contradicting this.
In a CBS News exclusive, our immigration and politics reporter, Camila Montoya Galvez, spoke to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who responded to the accusations of the administration encouraging migrants to come to the U.S.
That is false.
You sure about that?
The strength of our nation is supposed to be that we have strong arms.
This is Kamala Harris, June 28, 2019.
Which will embrace and protect anyone fleeing or facing harm.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border.
This is Joe Biden at the Democratic debate taking on Bernie Sanders and the like in 2019 before the 2020 election, saying that they need to surge to the border. Check this out again.
We immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. Immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. Immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
We're short of workers. We have a population.
This is Chucky the Schumer, leader of the Senate.
That is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants. The future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants. The way we're going to have a great future, way we're going to have a great future, way we're going to have a great future, way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here. And we will be pursuing that in the next Senate.
So, In Newsmax, I've pulled up this. Biden prepares to order a shutdown asylum after migrant arrivals hit 2,500. Because the upcoming debate with Donald Trump, he needs to act like he's doing something with the border crisis, but he also doesn't want to offend his new voting base. So the White House is telling lawmakers that President Joe Biden is preparing to sign off on an executive order. Now, wait a minute. I thought they said in multiple times the president can't do these things. It's up to the Congress to take care of the border. But he's had a change of mind, and he's going to do an executive order that would shut down asylum requests to the U.S.-Mexico border once the number of daily encounters hits 2,500 between ports of entry, with the border reopening once that number declines to 1,500, according to several people familiar with the discussions. The impact of the 2,500 figure means that the border could be closed to migrants seeking asylum effectively immediately because daily figures are higher than that at the moment. And many feel this was a play because of the upcoming debate here in June with Donald Trump. He is lagging in the polls, and two things that are really eating Biden's lunch is the border and the economy. And so I think that is going to be some things you're going to find there. And so we'll see how that plays out in the days ahead. So I thought that was interesting. There is a mama bear that has accidentally been forced into action. She said, I was not looking for this, but I have freedom of speech. And she's a mother, I think, of 5 in Wisconsin. She's with Moms for Liberty. And she's now going to court. She's being sued for her freedom of speech.
I'm a mom of 5 children, 1 boy, 4 girls, and from ages 24 to 11. The greatest thing I'll ever do is raise my children. That's been my focus, raising my kids, actually being very involved in their education.
Scarlett Johnson is a parent, a taxpayer, and Wisconsin voter who spoke up and criticized her government. Now she's being sued despite having clear protections by the First Amendment.
I'm sort of an accidental activist. I didn't intend to be an activist for parental rights and for children. I realized that I had to be, and a lot of other parents did as well.
Johnson is now on trial for calling someone woke and other similar comments.
I'm on trial for speaking my mind. I'm on trial because I have a belief that others do not feel comfortable with or they don't like, and our public education system is failing them. And one reason I think that is because we are obsessed with identity politics. We are obsessed with turning classrooms into centers for political correctness and political indoctrination. I'm Puerto Rican. My kid's father is white. So what does that say when my kids go into classrooms and they're told that to be white is evil and to be brown is somehow inherently good, or inherently you are a victim if you're brown, and if you are white, you are a bad person?
The case against Ms. Johnson should have been promptly dismissed and certainly shouldn't be going to trial.
I am pro-teacher, but I am tired of hiring 6-figure administrators that just tell teachers what to do and then tell students what to think.
We have appealed her case because the First Amendment protects every citizen, regardless of their political views.
Without freedom of speech, there's no freedom of thought. We have to be able to think freely, to vote freely, to protest freely, to speak our minds.
Learn more about how Will is...
So that is a mama bear in Wisconsin. And don't you find that interesting that they want to do that? Now, there's a group on the internet. I've played their songs before. This is the Trump Latinos as we go to the break.
Trump Latinos. I got a question. Would you let Joe Biden watch your kids? And would you let Joe Biden run your business? I wasn't born last night, but something about this president just ain't right. I wasn't born last night, but something about this president just ain't right. Would you let Joe watch your kids? I need to know, Hey, would you let Joe run your biz? I need to know, On the phone with Big Trump, he flying Air Force One. You ain't seen the pet as clean since Air Force Ones. We the Trump Latinos, the new Black Beatles. And every hit we drop is a switch like a free throw. Red Wade, caught with Bungle president that shits his pants with Harry. It depends on the pens, America, I bury him. Patriots, we depend on pens to write his name on the ballot if they cheat us again. I wasn't born last night, but something about this president just ain't right. I wasn't born last night, but something about this president just ain't right.
We'll be back. Trump Latinos. Go to YouTube and type in Trump Latinos. Interesting. Ethnic culture speaking their minds.
Has elected a new president, Claudia Sheinbaum. She comes from the same political party as her predecessor, President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, which means her political ideology and policies will closely mirror what's already in place. Here's what Mexico's newly elected president has said on the campaign trail regarding her position on immigration and the U.S.-Mexico border. Migrants from around the world are coming to the U.S. by passing through Mexico. Sheinbaum says slowing the influx of immigration starts with investing in the countries people are leaving. By helping the economies of poor countries, Sheinbaum says their people won't have to flee based on necessity. Sheinbaum says in order to do that, the U.S. needs to do more, suggesting the U.S. could use some of its military funds to fund the countries migrants are fleeing. Here she is in a recent interview being asked how she would reduce illegal immigration.
Entonces, en la medida que haya desarrollo en Centroamérica y en otros países que lamentablemente están, muchas personas desean salir de ahí por motivos económicos para ir a Estados Unidos, pues la visión de largo plazo es que haya inversión y apoyos en esas zonas. Entonces, por eso, si una parte de lo que se destina a inversión bélica en Estados Unidos se destinara a inversión para la paz, estaríamos hablando de una disminución natural de la migración.
She opposes the construction of a border wall, saying it would not lead to a better relationship between the two countries, but says whether it be Biden or Trump who wins in 2024, either option would be good for Mexico.
Yo creo que va a ser buena, sea que gane el presidente Biden o el presidente Trump. Tenemos un socio comercial y eso hace que nos obligue a tener.
The U.S. military's new cyber command chief and head of the National Security Agency is raising concerns over a stealthy Chinese cyber threat to critical American infrastructure. Unlike the typical cyber intrusions that steal data or military secrets, this threat sits dormant within civilian systems, primed for disruptive attacks. General Timothy Hawk, who spoke with the Wall Street Journal at a security conference in Singapore, detailed the activities of a Chinese hacking network known as Volt Typhoon. The group is suspected of positioning itself within key infrastructure networks to launch future attacks.
And those cybersecurity advisories detail how China has penetrated systems and then used the capabilities inside those systems to live off the land using the technical capabilities of the systems they've compromised to reside there, not for the purpose of intelligence collection, but to assure access in things like critical infrastructure or within Guam, areas that we know have relevance from a military perspective, but also for prepositioning for other activities.
In January, U.S. officials identified and dismantled a network of routers across the U.S. and Guam that were vulnerable due to a lack of system updates. Since 2021, Volt Typhoon has accessed critical U.S. infrastructure in communications, utilities, transportation, and government sectors. Microsoft highlighted this threat last year, noting its potential to disrupt essential services like water supplies, power grids, and transportation systems. Hawk emphasized the need to protect American networks and ensure U.S. military operational security, especially in regions like the Indo-Pacific, susceptible to Chinese cyber actions.
Well, welcome back to the show. That's interesting news. That's by the Straight Arrow News Agency. That China has some new capabilities, evidently with some cyber attacks, and it's got the military rather concerned, and rightfully so. So as we look at that, something for us to keep in mind, and let's always keep our eye on the ball when it comes to America, because we have a lot to consider. Now, a couple of things I thought would be interesting for you. One is I found this prayer in the Billy Graham Peace with God post. It just happened to pop up when I was scrolling the news cycles. So bravo to Billy Graham. And they've got this little article, Start Your New Life with Christ. You can have real, lasting peace through a relationship with Jesus Christ. Start with the 4-step journey. Step 1, God's purpose, peace, and life. And it gives some Bible verses that says you can have peace with God. And there may be someone listening right now that says, I would like to have a relationship with God. And it says in Romans 5:1, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. And John 3:16, I'm sure you've heard, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes him would not perish but have everlasting life. The step 2 is the problem is the sin separates us. And for all of sin falls short of the glory of God, Romans tells us. And step 3 is God's remedy is the cross. That's what Christ did. We celebrate Easter, but really it's something we celebrate year-round as Christians, that Jesus died on a cross and rose from the grave for our sin. And 1 Timothy 2:5 says, for there is one God, and there was one mediator between God and men. That man is Christ Jesus. And step 4 is our response to receive Christ. We must trust Jesus as Lord and Savior and receive him by a personal invitation. In Revelations 3:20, it says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him and he with me. And a lot of folks don't realize that to be a Christian, it's not going to church, If I go to McDonald's, it doesn't make me a Big Mac. If I go to Taco Bell, it doesn't make me a Nacho Bell Grande. But going to church, it doesn't make you a Christian, my friend. What makes you a Christian is a relationship with God. Just like in the old days when you would say, do you like me? Check yes or no when you were in school. Basically the same concept. You're just saying, God, I know your Bible says you love me. Well, I'm going to accept that love and ask you to be the Lord of my life. Have a conversation with him. It's not as hard as you think. Here's a sample prayer you might want to say. Dear God, I know I'm a sinner. I want to turn from my sins, and I ask for your forgiveness. I believe that Jesus Christ is your Son, and I believe he died for my sins, and that you raised him to life. I want him to come into my heart and to take control of my life. I want to trust him as my Savior and follow him as my Lord from this day forward. In Jesus' name, amen. You can go to the Billy Graham website. They have counselors online, and they're prepared to talk with you, and they'll help you understand this concept of knowing God in a personal way. But anyway, the title of it is Don't Put Off This Most Powerful Prayer in Your Life, and I think that's rather amazing. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on, and as you guys probably know, this is Pride Month, where a lot of folks have tried to celebrate a lifestyle the Bible does call sin. But an Idaho bar trolls Pride Month by celebrating heterosexual awesomeness month. They're gifting free beers for straight people. Now, this is out in Idaho. Now, if you are someone that's against social drinking, I do not partake in social drinking, but I don't beat people up that do. Okay, but the Old State Saloon in Eagle, Idaho announced on its Facebook page that rather than dedicating the month of June for Pride, it would instead be celebrating heterosexual awesomeness month. And if you go by the bar, they give you a free drink. Well, that's something for those out in Idaho to consider. I don't know where you are with that. Minnesota mayor thanks Joe Biden for canceling his student loans, but it backfires big time. It usually does on the Democrats lately. A Minnesota mayor earning $130,000 per year at his post thanked Joe Biden for canceling his student loan debt. St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter publicly celebrated hardworking Americans being forced to pay off his student loans, even though he earns way more money than the average American worker. The Supreme Court tried to block me from revealing student debt, but they didn't stop me. I've relived student debt over and over 5 million Americans. I'm going to keep on going, Biden said in a post on his X account last week. Biden had used a series of workarounds to circumvent the Supreme Court's decision to strike down his student loan debt bailout program. And what's happened with some of these more progressive and liberal Democrats that are embracing this payoff of their debt, it's angering the taxpayers. So last year's Supreme Court ruled 6-3 against Joe Biden's student loan relief program. So the Department of Education rolled out a workaround forbearance program to cancel $39 billion in student loans by counting non-payments as payments for a period of time. Basically saying they just did a blank check. In January, Biden unilaterally canceled another $5 billion in student loan debt for 74,000 borrowers in his latest vote-buying gimmick. Now, Joe Biden also announced he would cancel student loans for borrowers who took out less than $12,000 and have been in repayment for 10 years. So Melvin Carter posted a photo of his account with a zero balance. Thank you, Mr. President. The mayor put, and when he put that out there, he got a lot of blowback, especially from taxpayers, thinking they weren't happy. Wait, we just paid off the college loan for the mayor of St. Paul? Are you that you just told us? So much for the rich paying their fair share. Another one put, don't thank Biden, thank your sanitation worker who picks up your trash every week and the employees at your local McDonald's that paid it off for you, Mayor. Not going so well, Mr. Mayor. Probably should have kept your big trap shut. But anyway, he probably thought he was going to gain some ground, and not a really smart move. Well, Dr. Fauci trashes conservative media and says the unvaccinated were responsible for 200 to 300,000 additional COVID deaths. This is the thing that doesn't make a sense. If you took a shot to protect you from the COVID virus, how does an unvaccinated person infect the protected? See, it again weakens their argument. The thing I've said, and I said it from the pulpit Sunday, that I'm amazed that some people are still blinded by. During this whole COVID mess, you weren't allowed to go to church. They tried to block you from church, going to the gym, or getting your hair done, because those were called non-essentials. But you could go get liquor, you could go have an abortion, and you could go get a lap dance. Those were essential. They didn't shut down the nudie clubs, they didn't shut down the bars, and they didn't shut down the abortion clinics. But they did try to shut down churches, gyms, and hair salons, because that brought some kind of inner peace and self-worth. Think about it. They wanted you drunk at home or in some kind of disparaging place so that you would be more depressed and dependent on the government. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. But Dr. Fauci took a lot of heat, and one of the things he was asked is, are you sad you're number 3 in history behind Stalin and Hitler? All the people that you murdered, he was being shouted out by many folks. Ivan Ranklin is one. He goes, hey, Tony, are you sad that you're in the number 3 spot as it applies to murdering people throughout the entire world after Stalin and Hitler? So he was heckled by many as he walked into the courtroom. And Marjorie Taylor Greene gave it to him. She would refuse to call him doctor, and she went after him. But he testified at 10 a.m. this morning in the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic and his many lies that destroyed millions of lives. And one thing he had to admit today was that there was no science behind the 6-foot distancing. They just made that up in one of their strategy meetings. It had no protection power. There's no scientific science for the 6-foot distancing. The other thing is, why did they point a gun-like object at your forehead to check your temperature when there's hundreds of ways to check temperature that's not as threatening or intimidating? So I think a lot of folks are wising up that we were in a plandemic, not a pandemic. Triggered Democrats send a hearing into chaos when Marjorie Taylor Greene refuses to address Mr. Fauci as doctor while ripping him for his evil experiments and lies. She showed documentation of how he would be at ball games without a mask on and not practicing the distancing that he implied that everyone else should do. So his hypocrisy was put on display. This is the Macil Duncan Show, live from Chattanooga. I'll be back.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Macil Duncan here in the Macil Duncan Show here in the Chattanooga studios here of USA Heartbeat Radio, and we appreciate them building this private set for me to have in my office. It really helps save me time. We have an Apison food pantry, as you know, and we appreciate all donations. And today we had a record number of private donations, and I want to say thank you to all those that do donations with your neighborhoods, with your different businesses, and I appreciate that. I spoke at Ridgedale Baptist at a prayer breakfast a few weeks ago. I'll be speaking at Silverdale next week at a luncheon, and then I'm speaking at Stewart Heights in the fall. And I appreciate the area churches that are rallying around the pantry and helping us feed the hungry. And of course, the United Methodist Church there in Ottawa is a good friends, and the local Seventh-day Adventist here in Apison. Pastor Jason there, wonderful guy. So just want to say thank you to all the partners that help us feed the hungry. When I was on vacation last week and I rode my Harley down, I challenge you to try this. Go onto your GPS and put no interstate and no toll ways. It will put you on paths right through the heartbeat of America, the blue collar, if you will. And I went through these small towns, and that's where I had my lunches and my dinners, and I lodged there. It took me, 2 days to get down to the beach because I didn't want to take the interstate. I wanted to just have time. I've done this now for years. But what made this even more special is I'm sensing a lot of American pride. I saw a lot of American flags flying. And I have an American flag on the back of my Harley. And it just gets a lot of attention. And people just assume, hey, they had no idea I was a preacher. But you pull in on a Harley, you automatically get some attention. And it was just some great conversations. And I just encourage you, if you have time, slow your life down and say, it may take us an extra 3 to 4 hours to get where we're going. But, the other thing you're doing is you're supporting these folks because they need the folks to buy their food and to pay for their lodging and et cetera and buy their gas. And so it really was good. I encourage you to consider that in your next trip. Well, Madonna is at it again, and the crazy lady is looks like getting sued. I'm sorry, we had the wrong one there. That was about the president. Here's the one on Madonna.
Madonna's sexually explicit tour performance in Los Angeles has landed her in a legal battle with a fan who is suing for what he calls being exposed to pornography without warning after watching what he says were topless women on stage simulating sex acts. He also raises another concern in his lawsuit, alleging the singer purposely refused to allow AC in the stadium, which is not the first time fans have complained of Madonna not wanting AC ran during her shows. The singer has a reputation for being outspoken about sexuality. That was made apparent in her style of performance during her latest tour. Some fans loved it and some did not. A fan who attended the March 7th show in Los Angeles said he was blindsided and deceived and says he felt like he was watching a pornography film being made. Madonna has not responded to the lawsuit.
So that's interesting that a guy would go to a Madonna concert and and expect it to be a clean situation, but evidently there were women in topless outfits performing or pretending to perform sexual actions, and he was offended. And, the liberals don't mind being offended by anything conservative. So I think it's interesting that a conservative said, I am going to be offended by them, and went and made the call, and now there's a lawsuit. But we're in a society, everyone's getting offended now. I guess you've probably picked up on that. And it seems like everybody can't take a joke anymore. But here's a guy that does his best Trump impersonation. See what you think. It's a little funny. I think it is.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us, Crooked Joe. It's a tiny town. It's smaller than AOC's brain. She has a very low IQ, and we're taking our town back. Thanks to fat, thunder thighs, Twinkies enthusiast Alvin Bragg, I am now an outlaw. The greatest outlaw the world has ever seen. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Nobody thought it was possible. The fake news is saying Donald Trump is now a modern-day Bonnie and Clyde. I call it Donnie and Clyde. Everything these people try doesn't work. It makes us stronger. They tried Russia. They tried the mugshot. I call it the Mona Lisa of mugshots. Nobody's ever seen a better mugshot before. It's incredible. And now they've turned me into an outlaw. We are going to go into the White House. We are going to look at Crooked Joe and say, "You're fired." We're going to drag him out kicking and screaming. His diaper's going to be so full. Fake Dr. Jill doesn't know what the hell to do about it. And we are going to take back our country. 2024 is the year of the outlaw and the year of the outlaw president. Believe me.
So this guy, that's a pretty good impersonation of Donald Trump. But the year of the outlaw, I don't know what you think about that. But it's very interesting that, that year of the outlaw, and that's the title the Democrats are trying to dub him with as convict, con, and etc. And they're trying to make him feel like he's less than I guess the average citizen. But here is a once Democratic sheriff in California announcing he's switching teams. Listen to this sheriff. He just posted this on social media yesterday.
Law enforcement, apparently, if you listen to our governor, is systemically racist. If you listen to our legislature, our laws are systemically racist. Our judicial system is systemically racist. All of these people that are being put in jail are because of law enforcement bias and DA bias and all of these things. And so they let them out. They give them food. They give them housing. They give them money. They give them drugs and alcohol now. And I got to be honest, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. And I'm wondering if I'm having a change of heart and deciding that, you know what, maybe I've been wrong. And I think I'm going to change teams. I know it's going to make some of you angry. I know that you're going to be mad at me, but I'm going to change teams. I think they're onto something, but I don't think they're doing enough. I think that we need to go big. You know me, go big or go home. You're the biggest, you do the best, you're the best at everything, and you might as well do something right if you're going to do it. And I'm all in. And I hope that you're all with me. I hope that you all have this change of heart. You all feel that this is definitely the right thing to do, and you come alongside me in this venture. And I think it's time that instead of letting them out of jail and giving them alcohol and drugs and everything else, I think it's time we put a felon in the White House. Trump 2024, baby. Let's save this country and make America great again.
Now, that sheriff did all that in a minute, 25 seconds. Isn't it powerful, the message of a sheriff in that short amount of time? And I applaud him because I agree with all that he said. And I think it's very interesting. And a lot of folks are in agreement.
Do you ever wonder how the swamp spends your hard-earned money?
Sorry about that. That another commercial they try to put in there. But these guys... they don't seem to understand the heart of the people, and Donald Trump has now raised over $200 million with the conviction and the legal craziness that they did. Just like the sheriff has switched teams, but when you get brownie points for lying, see what you think about this.
Former President Trump said this morning on Fox News that the world is out of control and laid the blame on President Biden because he said world leaders don't respect President Biden. Your response?
Well, I don't get into election campaign rhetoric. I can't do that. I can just tell you that
that's a lie.
Everywhere the president goes, and he will hear this message, I have no doubt, when we go to France next week for the D-Day commemoration and a state visit with President Macron, as well as the G7 in Italy the week later. He'll continue to hear from American leaders, as he has heard.
So what do you think? Donald Trump says that Joe Biden is a laughingstock. If he bumbles up and down the steps like he's done, I can see where other leaders might find that a little bit funny. Well, this is the Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan. I'll be back for my final segment after these messages.
It's a new day in Chattanooga. This is WVMG Chattanooga.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other and build family memories we will carry with us forever. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. It's easy. Just put in your zip code to find family-friendly outdoor destinations near you. You'll also find guides to free activities, games, and amazing forest facts. Give the magic of the outdoors to your kids and reconnect with your family. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Days after being found guilty in his criminal trial in New York, former President Donald Trump spent the weekend making his first public appearance since the verdict, starting his own TikTok account, and sitting down for an interview with Fox News. Trump stopping by the Ultimate Fighting Championship event in Newark, New Jersey on Saturday night, as thousands in attendance at the Prudential Center cheered on the former president. Trump taking that moment to launch his new TikTok account, amassing over 3 million followers as of this morning. His UFC video has more than 60 million views since it was posted. While as president, Trump sought for the U.S. to ban TikTok, he has since changed his mind. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden signed a bill in April that could see TikTok being banned in the country, though his campaign launched an account earlier this year. Trump also sat down for an interview with Fox News that aired on Sunday. When asked about the possibility of facing jail time or house arrest, Trump replied he is okay with it, but says he is not sure the public would stand for it. In the interview, Trump was asked about his political rivals in the wake of the verdict.
And I say it and it sounds beautiful, right? You know, my revenge will be success. And I mean that. But it's awfully hard when you see what they've done. These people are so evil. And at the same time, the country can come together.
Trump's sentencing is set for July 11th.
And it just happens to be 3 days prior to the GOP convention. Is that coinkydinky? Or is it an attempt to try to disrupt the convention? And some people have different views on that. But we also have breaking. Donald Trump calls on Supreme Court to intervene after being convicted of a made-up crime in a kangaroo court. President Donald Trump has called upon the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene following his conviction of the crime, etc. So we will see what happens if the Supreme Court. I don't know, but James Comey, the former FBI director, says they would put him in a double wide somewhere. James Comey fantasizes about Trump being thrown in jail for non-crimes. So I think it's interesting to see how people line up on these issues. But ironically, Donald Trump has raised over $200 million. It's a record. And so the Daily Wire is reporting that since the verdict, he has now set records, the most money raised in that time period, but also the most small amounts of $21 or less. He's raised several millions of dollars from just the blue-collar people of America. And I think that, in a way, is very telling. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens November 5th. But time will tell. Well, we had some other breaking news in Mexico. Check this out.
In a historic landslide victory, Claudia Sheinbaum has been elected the first female president of Mexico, as well as the first Jewish person to hold that position.
So the interesting thing, I don't know if you caught that, is she's the first female, but also the first Jewish person to hold the presidency. So Claudia is an elected president of Mexico, and she's the former mayor of Mexico City, and was elected as Mexico's first female president on Sunday. On the moment, the party, she was at 58.6%, with 73% of the votes counted. So they said it's beyond that there's no way anyone else could win. And so she has got a strong victory there. Now, the Gateway Pundit put out an article that says the leftist climate scientist. This is interesting. She was very liberal, or is very liberal, and she's a COVID pandemic hardliner. She, what's interesting, while COVID, ouchie Fauci is basically being put on trial in Congress, she would probably be backing most of what he did. And now that she's the leader of Mexico, our southern partner there, she went on to say whether Trump or Biden wins, she's not in favor of a border wall. And she thinks America should use some of its military funds to help these other countries so they won't want to flee. Now, I don't know about you, but isn't it interesting? Everybody wants to tell us how to spend our tax dollars. You got Zelensky in Ukraine. You got Netanyahu over in Israel. Of course, you have the Palestine folks. You got Iran wanting funds. And it seems like everybody wants America's money. And they seem to get more, if you want to call it, of a voice than the American citizen. But the leftist climate scientist and COVID pandemic hardliner, former Mexico Mayor Claudia, is elected first woman president of Mexico. She's also the first Jewish leader of Mexico. And that is a little shocking, the 61-year-old climate scientist being elected in with now the anti-Jewish mantra that's gone around through our country and the world. I think that's interesting. So we'll see how it goes. Congratulations to Mexico on their new president, and we'll see how that all plans out for them with the upcoming election here in America, and we'll see. But the interesting thing is the border is really got a lot of folks concerned, and about citizenship. And do you think we're going to find like an amnesty from Biden prior to the election? Some folks are afraid he's going to do that. He could. I don't know. But one thing is happening. There is gangs here in Middle Tennessee. Here's a news report. See what you think about this.
Group strikes again. This time, the organized criminal operation hits in Nolensville. News 2's Andy Cordan has been tracking this investigation and joins us with the latest. Andy.
Hey there, Haley. You know, according to the police, the group hit 2 homes yesterday, and as you're about to learn, these criminals, well, they're coordinated and tactical.
Now, they go through neighborhoods, and what they do is they stalk you on your social media or find out that you have money or wealth in your home. And again, this happened in Middle Tennessee.
How did they pick these people? Through online, they're able to determine business owners, knowing that they historically do not keep money in the bank. They keep it inside the home, like in this instance, in a safe.
According to police, the men are part of an international crime syndicate known as the South American Theft Group.
They'll
Part of an international crime syndicate known as the South American Theft Group.
They'll get a visa. They'll come to New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Phoenix has a ton of it. Miami has a ton of it. And they'll come up to Atlanta.
These highly organized criminals come to the United States, then working in small cells, scout out locations and victims, and then strike quickly.
How sad were these victims? It's a huge monetary loss for them. And they also have lost jewelry, handed down from generations along with the money. They're absolutely well organized. They do their intelligence before they come to whatever community across the U.S. that they're going to know who they're going to hit. They know when they need to hit and what they're exactly going after.
So did you hear? They're very well organized. So there are coming across our southern border groups. These are a global theft group, and they have a big imprint here that the law enforcement said, hey, these guys, I'll just play it again, their name is...
Syndicate, known as the South American Theft Group.
They'll get a visa. They'll come to New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Phoenix has a ton of it. Miami has a ton of it, and they'll come up to Atlanta.
So, interesting, is it not? So we'll find out. Donald Trump has said one of his first orders of business, if elected, he will have a mass deportation. He's also said he'll build the wall. These are two things I don't think the new president of Mexico, Miss Claudia, seems to be encouraged about. So it'll be interesting to see how Donald Trump fares with obviously a strong, opinionated lady, and we'll see how it pans out. Well, this is the Macil Duncan Show here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me and listening to the show. And we'll be back tomorrow, and I hope you guys have had a good week. We did, and it was a joy to get away and to be around friends and family, and get to see my grandkids. That's always a joy. So we will be back tomorrow, and hope each and every one of you can have a good weekend as you guys, or a good week here as you guys are getting back in your track of life, because I know everyone has to do certain things, and sometimes when you're trying to get things done in your life, getting back to work, getting back to wherever you're at, sometimes it takes a little extra effort, but hey, we appreciate all you do for the country. Well, I am about to sign off here with God's Still Working on Me. I love this song.
I sat in church the other day, man, how I felt convicted. 'Cause the only thing on my mind is how I wish that I was out there fishing. I'd rather been on the water with a cold one in my hand, watching that bobber while working on my tan. But I guess that wasn't God's plan. Later that evening, a guy cut me off in traffic and flipped me the bird. So I cut him on myself and exchanged me a couple words. I know, but God's still working on me. I'm a hell of a lot better, but not where I need to be. I say God's still working on me. I always pull hard, but know that he'll never leave. I'm a filthy, no good sinner saved by grace. I like a little bit of worship and some joy straight. I was blind, but now I see.
God's still working on me. Kendall Tucker, check it out.